Robert E. Lee was born on January 19th, 1807, at the Stratford Hall Plantation in Virginia. His father was Henry Lee III. His mother was Anne Hill Carter Lee. His father died when he was only 11, so his mother had to raise him and his siblings alone. In school, he was very good at math, and his family encouraged him to join the military. He started at the Military Academy of West Point in 1825, focusing mainly on engineering. When he graduated, he was second in his class. In 1829, he started courting his childhood friend, Mary Custis, who he married in 1831. When they got married, he was stationed at Fort Monroe, where he supervised the design of buildings. He was moved to Washington, D.C. in 1834 and was promoted to first lieutenant in October of 1836. In 1846, the Mexican-American War broke out. Lee, under Winfield Scott, marched with the rest of the men from Veracruz to Mexico City, the appropriately named capital of Mexico. He often went ahead to spy on the Mexicans for his commanders. He was engaged in several battles and was wounded at his last battle at Chapultepec. During the Mexican War, he met Ulysses S. Grant, who he would eventually fight against during the Civil War. During the 1850s, he was away most of the time and struggled to run his plantation. In 1859, he was ordered to put down a slave rebellion, which was led and organized by the Northern anti-slaver John Brown. Lee and his men put it down in an hour. For this, he gained a great deal of popularity and trust in his leadership, should his country need it. When the Civil War broke out in 1861, President Lincoln asked Lee to command the Union Army. But like many in the South, his loyalties lay with his state, the state of Virginia, over the United States. Lee left the army, and in 1862 took command of the Northern Virginian Army. He didn't agree with the South, and considered secession to be treason, but he was loyal to his state. He managed to force the Union back at Richmond during the 7 Days Battle. He also won at the Second Battle of Manassas. He then tried to cross the Potomac River at the Battle of Antietam. He and his men barely got across during the worst day of the war, when 22,000 soldiers died in just one day. He and his army then lost at Gettysburg some years later, and lost many thousands of men. This was the turning point of the war. At the same time as Gettysburg was being lost, the southern city of Vicksburg surrendered to the Union General Ulysses S. Grant. Eventually, Grant forced Lee out of Richmond, the capital of the Confederates, and a week later, Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox, Virginia. He was forgiven and pardoned by Grant and Lincoln for leading the South. He later became president of Washington College in Virginia. In September of 1870, he died in his home in Virginia. While his strategies were sometimes controversial, he was overall a very good general. He could defeat armies larger than his own. He made a few decisions that eventually cost him the war, but overall he was a brilliant general.